Supplements do come in many forms. We want you to know that we focus on the right ingredients in the right amounts and in those synergistic formulations. Now, different forms have different advantages and disadvantages. The most important element that I want you to take away from our supplements is not often the milligrams that are on that label. We always ask the question, can we get those nutrients to the site for cellular activity? How well are those compounds delivered, and where are they delivered? Unlike many other companies on the market, we ask these questions, which is why Gary can say we've got the cofactors that allow us to do what we do. We offer the very best products. We understand that they start with innovative ingredients, but we also appreciate that they require intelligent delivery. We have products with an emphasis on delivery. We do this for an emphasis, right? Not on novelty, but on bioactivity, to make sure that that exhaust that Gary talks about, to make sure that those cofactors that are absolutely what? Non-negotiable are present in these products. Here, people will ask me often, you could have any supplements you want, Dee. You're, like Gary, probably introduced to so many different product lines. Why market America's product lines? And I can answer it just like this. Because if your supplements are destroyed by stomach acid or fail to reach the body, right, fail to reach the area of the body they are intended, then your supplements are poorly designed.
It's so true. Does anyone know what a probiotic is? What are probiotics? They're bacteria. Do you know what the function of the human stomach is? To kill bacteria. So if I'm going to take a probiotic, which is bacteria, and I'm going to swallow it, and it's going to hit the stomach acid, and the stomach's job is to kill the bacteria, then if I don't protect it from the stomach acid, how much of that probiotic do you think hits the intestine? Zero. And this is why I'm so fascinated with the formulations that you have, and why I get here and edify it, because I look at so many phenomenal probiotic products that have multiple strains of probiotic and tons of the right bacteria, 50 billion bacteria, and it's $55 at Whole Foods, so it must be good, and you got to put it in the refrigerator. And then you swallow it, and it opens, and 99% of those bacteria are killed by the stomach. And then you pass dead bacteria into the intestine. And this is why, if you look at probiotic research, they do things like fecal transplant. I won't get into any details about that. That's a nasty one. But it works, or when they protect a probiotic from the stomach acid like you do, now the probiotics open in an alkaline environment, in the intestine where they're supposed to, and they start to live in the neighborhoods where they function. How many of you have allergies? Or know someone suffering from allergies right now? I bet 70% of the hands in the room right now do not have an allergy. I'll tell you why. Because the speed of the gut is more important than its contents. You see, the human intestinal tract is like a giant conveyor belt. You put compounds on it at one end when it exits the stomach, very acidic, and it moves down this conveyor belt until it exits the rectum in a very alkaline environment. And if you ask someone if they have an allergy, ask them what they're allergic to, and they're like, oh, I don't know, wheat, corn, soy, dairy, blueberries and bananas. Okay, you'd be dead. That's all 9 of the essential amino acids. Ask yourself this question. If I'm allergic to corn or gluten or wheat or soy or dairy, can I ever eat any of those products and not have a reaction? Most of the time, people will say yes. Sometimes I can eat corn and not have a reaction. Right there, you know you don't have an allergy. Allergies are not transient. They are consistent. You're not allergic to milk on Monday morning, unallergic Wednesday afternoon, and re-allergic on Saturday morning. What's happening is you are deficient in light metals, B vitamins, and cofactors. When you're deficient in those cofactors, the speed of the intestine changes. Imagine if you have a conveyor belt and everybody is standing along this conveyor belt doing a job, and then one day I just walk into the factory and I double the speed of the conveyor belt. What happens? The whole entire line breaks down. Gas, bloating, diarrhea, constipation, irritability, cramping, and then you think about what you just ate, and you link your gut issue to what you just ate, instead of linking it to the lack of raw material and the cofactors that your gut needs in order to move at the right speed, right?
And that is the magic of a better delivery system, right? Because vitamins, minerals, and these compounds, Gary, they don't wait in line.
No.
They need to have a facilitated approach to absorption. Isotonics are some of the most innovative nutritional supplements available today. Have you ever had to try to overcome why there are carbohydrates or nasty sugars in your product, people think? Right? It is because it controls for exactly what Gary was just describing. That conveyor belt. How effectively, how efficiently nutrients are delivered to the small intestine, ensuring that they do not spend a prolonged period of time in the stomach exposed to stomach acid, being degraded, so that they are not going to do what? Reach the small intestine for absorption in a concentrated manner. They're either going to get there too soon, and it's going to be the conveyor belt that Gary just talked about, right? Or they're going to get there degraded. Isotonics are some of the most innovative products available on the market today, and it is because we put carbohydrates in them, which control for gastric emptying, allow the nutrients to be concentrated, intact, ready to do the job that they were meant to do when they get to the small intestine. And those same carbohydrates assist the absorption of the product, allowing us to show higher bioavailability, blood serum peak values with our products. But that is not the only thing. Gary had mentioned probiotics and making sure that they can survive the digestive tract, the digestive juices. At the end of the day, if a compound or nutrient is delivered too soon, the body also may not benefit. It may leave the gut, but now it has to survive digestion. We need to be able to get nutrients to the large intestine. We need to be able to get them to different tissues through the bloodstream. It's exactly why we have products like time-release technology products with our Probiotics 10, with our children's chewable probiotics and our NutriClean probiotics. Too often companies will choose to use coatings, fillers, or binders to slow down the decay of a product to stop it from being delivered too soon. But what they fail to do is understand that there is a better choice, a choice that Market America makes because we offer that time-release technology, allowing the formula to work with the body's natural physiology. See, time-release technology, what it does is manage both degradation of the ingredient and also ensure proper delivery. It's ideal when you need a formula, like Gary mentioned, like probiotics that require a consistent intestinal release. Something where we need something to get to the large intestine, but without the help of time-release technology, it would never get there. It couldn't survive digestion.
And if you don't get it here, you don't get it here. I mean, I'll tell you a little secret about the brain. Most of us would love to think that our brains are very sophisticated. It's not. The brain is very primal. You know what the brain cares about? The brain cares about survival, right? The brain's nasty. The brain's like the little Kim Jong-un of dictators. It sits up here, and it just takes everything for itself. If a brain wants calcium, it'll strip it from the bones. If it wants amino acids, it'll rip it from lean muscle tissue. So if we deprive the brain of raw materials, depleted of neurotransmitters, then we drive pathology and disease, right? We had a saying in the mortality space that the absence of dopamine is the presence of addiction. So when you start to deplete dopamine in the brain, it drives addictive behavior. This is why if you've ever been an addict or known an addict, addiction has a tendency to shift. It really has a tendency to not go away because we treat the physical addiction to Suboxone or nicotine or alcohol, but we don't treat the dopamine deficiency. The dopamine deficiency comes by converting 3 amino acids, which are readily available in your bloodstream, in your gut, into the neurotransmitter dopamine. Dopamine goes up to the brain and satisfies addictive behavior. But the deck is stacked against us. This is why I love recruiting an army. Because I'll tell you about something you've probably never heard of. Take a pen out and just write this down because I want you to Google it when you're done. It'll blow your mind. It's called the TAS1 R2 receptor. TAS1 R2 receptor. You've probably never heard of it. It's a sweet receptor on the back of the tongue. Only the interesting thing about this sweet receptor is it's connected directly to the brain's release of dopamine. It's the reward system. There are entire laboratories full of PhDs right this moment in the chemical industry, in the food industry, and the pharmaceutical industry, dedicating lifetimes to nothing but the study of that one receptor. Now, why would chemical companies study the TAS1 R2 receptor? Because if we can get you to like a food, that's good. If we can get you addicted, we've got you. Artificial sweeteners were first designed for addiction, not for taste. Artificial sweeteners were first designed to ding the TAS1 R2 receptors. You will find artificial sweeteners that have no sweet taste in tons of products because it's designed to force the release of dopamine so that you don't like that food, you are addicted to that food. This is why I tell people to snack on exercise. not on food, right? The next time you have the impetus to eat a bag of chips, do 10 air squats. I'm not kidding.
Absolutely
Wait
brilliant.
to see how good you feel, right? If you have the impetus for a candy bar, do 10 overhead touches with a deep breath and see if you still feel like doing that. You'll get the same release of dopamine as you will from dinging that receptor from an artificial sweetener, right?
And that's exactly
Sorry, that
what
was
we
just a
need to be
tangent.
paying attention to. But we need to be paying attention to those alternatives, those different choices that we can make. Right, and Market America has the opportunity to evaluate cutting-edge ingredients all the time and then ask ourselves, is there a better way? Are there better cofactors? Is there a better delivery? It's one of the reasons why I love multi-phase release technology, why I love the idea of our Thiaminol capsules. Because unlike regular capsules, and these are the things I want you to know because it's what creates the why are we superior. Why are we that product that you want to be taking? How do you create value, not just with the community that you're building, but also by understanding that we put thought into this design. We put thought into our formulations. See, that multi-phase release, it allows the supplement to effectively adapt to the individual's physiology. Not just the conveyor belt that we were talking about, Gary, but also the needed nutrients. See, not all nutrients are compatible with each other. And multi-phase release technology allows us to pair together products, ingredients that would have an incredible synergy in the body, but are otherwise incompatible in supplementation. So we simply found a better way. But most often, what we do is we copy nature. We take a whole root. We take the whole source. A great example is our curcumin extreme, where we use the essential oils that are naturally found in the rhizome of this root, right? Because they help with that bioavailability. They ensure, unlike many commercial products, that the raw ingredient will get where it's supposed to go. Because nothing in nature acts in exclusion, and nature, she's pretty intelligent. So if it can survive through nature, if it was developed over centuries, it's got some wisdom in it, and we extract or take on that wisdom. Now, Gary, this is all fantastic. We know that we need to supplement. We know that there's a better way, that the cofactors, the formulation, and the delivery matters. But is there a way to kind of distill this down to the essentials, the non-negotiables? So Gary and I will often talk about how the body is set up in redundant ways, right? It needs the same enzymes, it needs the same nutrients, it needs the same hormones to mount a healthy stress response, an immune response, and a repair response. But if you are constantly in repair, Gary, if you are constantly in repair, do you have any of those raw ingredients, those needed elements to support you with your hormone response or your immune response or your stress response? The body goes, or these nutrients go, as you said, ripped from the muscle where they're needed.
Kim Jong-un.
Right?
Nasty thing up there.
And because the body is set up in these redundant ways with these redundant switches, we have to make sure that we're giving the body all of the raw ingredients that it needs, but that we're also paying attention to those steps we can take to create wellness for many, many years.
You know, there's not a single compound known to mankind, not one, that enters the human body that's used in the format that you put it in. Not a protein, amino acid, not a mineral, a nutrient, a vitamin, nothing that enters the human body is used in the format that you put it in. Every human being in this room, the most important process that your body goes through is called methylation. It's where we convert raw materials into the usable form. I always say that we pull crude oil out of the ground, but you cannot put crude oil into your gas tank, right? Because the car doesn't understand that fuel source. Crude oil has to be refined into gasoline, and now the car understands that fuel source. It's no different in the human body. Every material that we put into the human body has to be refined into its usable form. If you cannot make this conversion, then you are deficient. And if you are deficient, this is what leads to pathology and disease.